This is me signaling that we're ready. Let's have a look. Going live around the entire world. Woo! Feedback noise. That's new.
You're very loud in my...
Am I very loud?
No. So whoever had this turned up last had it rather loud.
Who was sitting in that chair before? I don't even know. Because Kat sits over that side. Weird stuff. And that really could be the byline for trending.
Okay, look at that camera because she's yet to take it down. So let's cut away from you now.
Just looking awkwardly. I need to talk, so it's looking at me.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Charmaine. Looking at you.
We're ready, Charmaine.
I'm looking at you, Charmaine.
Charmaine, we're ready.
Charmaine, I'm ready. Ooh, it's saying live. Oh, but the thing's not down. Ooh. Do. I can see pictures of myself. I look quite youthful in that photo.
I have to show you a photo that Di sent me yesterday.
Oh, this is great. That's awesome. Oh, we do love it. Oh, apparently the audio is coming through.
Oh,
because
hello.
I can see. All right, well, if you can hear us right now, hello, is there anybody out there? This is trending. There are real people behind this music.
There we go.
Yay, success. Against all the odds, they said it would never happen. Hello. Welcome. Pre-show for trending. So we're going to go live in about, I'm going to say 5 minutes. This is where we take a look at some news stories from the week that was and welcome you into our space as well. So, hi to Mai. Come on in. Get comfy. Put your feet up. Put them on the furniture. I don't mind. Can you do that? Can you do that in your place? Put your feet on the furniture? Probably not, eh?
I mean, it's my place. I can...
Nah, your wife controls this stuff. Let's not pretend.
Okay, so we're about to move.
Yeah.
And I imagine we're also about to get a lot more furniture. A lot of new furniture.
Yep.
So the new stuff, almost certainly not.
Good point.
And we will probably want to sell the old stuff, so also not. So
right.
no is the answer.
So exactly. See, no was a short answer. Unless you can bring a chair around from the dining room and then put that next to the couch so that you put your feet up.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
I feel like feet on the chairs from the dining room aren't so bad.
Well, because you'll often grab the dining room chair to maybe change a light bulb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a workhorse chair. It's
chair.
It's not really a luxury chair.
No.
It's a functional chair only. Should a chair for the dining room have padding on it?
Ooh. I mean, we just have cushions that we put on the chair.
So basically you're saying yes, because if it didn't need the cushion, you wouldn't have added it. Because it's very fashionable to have chairs with no padding.
Yeah.
Like Aki was looking at something for our lounge, and it was going to be this. It looks like a lounger chair, and it's very artistic, but it's just wood.
Just wood.
It's just wood. So I'm like, but there's no cushions. Like,
do you need a cushy?
Well, I mean, short answer, yes, Josh, I do. This is from the guy who just admitted 30 seconds ago he's got cushions on his lounge chairs. I mean, his dining chairs.
But I can have the option of not.
Yeah,
be a rugged man.
But you don't.
On the hard wood.
Sometimes I go and get cinder blocks and I put them on my chairs. Rah. And then I sit in them just in my boxes so that I can really feel the course. Welcome to trending.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any strong feelings about the quality of your dining room chairs this morning. Also, what can I tell you about the stuff we're going to look into today? Again, a nice broad gamut, I think. A lot of names, and mercifully, let me just double check quickly before I overcommit here. Yes, none of them dead. So that's a nice change.
Actually, that's a good point, because when I saw one of the names pop up here, I did worry.
Well, and that will be addressed. Yes, one name in particular even caused a public, what would you call it, announcement?
Public outcry?
Well, I'm just thinking, well, that person had to then do a public statement to just let everyone know.
I'm alive.
They are alive. So, yeah. Gosh, I hope I never get to the age and stage where if my name pops up, it's because I have to tell people whether or not I'm alive or not.
You don't want to be at that stage?
I suppose it's a compliment, isn't it? Like you've lived long enough that then you have
and you're beloved enough that people
actually, imagine you put one out there and I was like, what? Who is you?
Oh, good.
Vanilla Ice puts out a public statement. I'm still alive. And I was like, what? Oh.
Joking.
Jokes.
Joking.
Jokes, but not jokes. Yeah, look, nearly into it, about a minute away. Just say hello, by the way, if you're in the chat right now. Let us know where in the country you are watching and listening from. Trying to think about what some of our questions should be as well for today. This is live kind of show planning, by the way, but maybe if we start with a question for people, if we come up with one as we introduce each story, as opposed to waiting to the end of the story.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Should we do that?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I see what we're saying.
We are agile in these parts.
Mm.
Right.
So exciting, the pre-show.
Oh, look. It was a great chat about dining room chairs, though. Got to say, that's worth the price of admission. Okay, fine. I'm going to get rid of... So, yeah, think about it.
Now you know that. Yeah.
Exactly. That'll change your life. Let's get ready to go live with the rest of the country. But let us know your thoughts as we go through these stories. Wouldn't be the same without you. Mwah. Thanks for making time for us. Here we go. Words you will find in Proverbs 21, verse 1.
Live on air and online. Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Oh, yeah. Always hits so good, doesn't it? Trending, you're with Andrew Curtis. That's me. Great to have your company on this Friday morning. We're going to take the next, hour or so to go through the news that's broken over the course of the week with a little bit of a difference. How did we select these stories? Well, we didn't. You did. You did it through your Google searches, through your activity on the major news services from around the world. It's a chance for us to take a look at those stories and maybe ponder as to why they captured people's attention. Sometimes stories are more popular than we expected. Other times, stories we thought would have rated a mention, nowhere to be seen. What's it going to be today? Regardless of the stories we cover, we want to hear your thoughts today, and the man who's going to help me bring those thoughts to the rest of the world, producer Josh Beatty.
Good to be back once again, 8168 with the keyword Rima, or of course, if you'd like to be a part of the viewing experience of Trending, head to rima.co.nz and click on either the Facebook or YouTube links. If you are already there, hey, leave a comment below. We would love to hear from you about what has been going on in the world and what is trending over this week.
Yeah, do you want to make a guess, by the way? Do you want to make a guess at the start of the show?
What is number one trending?
Yeah, what's the topic? You don't have to be, too specific here, but no, I'm not going to do it.
Let me remind myself, I don't reckon, I'll put this challenge out there.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody will, unless you cheat and go to Google.
No, you're not allowed.
Yeah, that's not allowed.
The Lord can see.
I don't think anybody will get what is number one trending this week.
I think you're right. Which is a challenge for some and a discouragement for others. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of a person do I want to be on a Friday? Do I want to be the kind of person who gets a challenge and says, no, I can't do it? Who backs down? Who lets me and Josh just push you around like this? Or you going to say, no, I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm going to do it against the odds. I'm going to text in. I'm going to jump in the chat.
And Marcy has done exactly that, just to say morena to Andrew and Josh. Hi, Marcy. Morning to you as well.
Great to have your company, Marcy. Let's take a look then at some of the news stories that have broken over the course of the week, and more particularly, which ones were the most popular, starting with, a polarizing name, to say the least.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Coming in at number 23 in the Google searches this week, Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. She kind of fell off the radar for a little while. We talked about her previously on Trending, but it felt like at least a month or two ago.
Yeah.
She's cropped back up. What is going on?
Well, she needed to diversify her product offering.
Okay.
She was too tightly
portfolio?
aligned. Yeah, it was too tightly aligned with climate stuff. And then after a while, you're like, oh, I've seen this episode before. Like, oh, yeah, Greta talking about the climate. Like, I need more from you, Greta. I need to see some character development. So she's become more of a political activist over the last little while. Gosh, that's a cynical read on that, isn't it? That's
She's got to diversify.
She has. And so she's been part of a few flotillas now where they've been attempting to deliver aid to Gaza via these boats. I mean, look, whenever somebody takes a tone like that too, something's going to come down the pipe that could get you in trouble. There are ways to get aid into Gaza, and these people know very well that their flotilla is not going to get there in a million years. So it's more about trying to bring attention to the struggles that are happening within Gaza. And so, anyway, Greta gets on board the Global Sumud Flotilla, or the GSF, and it was a coalition of over 40 vessels who were looking to deliver humanitarian aid, but of course they were intercepted by the Israeli military.
Surprising nobody.
Yeah, exactly. How could this be? Oh, we are so shocked. What has been a little more shocking, though, has been the allegations from Greta and those who were part of the flotilla with her about the treatment they received from the Israelis during their detention. So we've got a couple of stories to cover on this front. Let's take a look at this one from Reuters first. And a reminder, by the way, if you're on the live stream, you can watch this story with us. For those of you who are, of course, listening via the radio, I'm going to provide a little live translation service for you as well.
Jag blev precis släppt från ett israeliskt tortyrfängelse i öken.
I just got released from an Israeli torture prison in the desert, and honestly, I don't really know what to say because no matter what we say, nothing is going to bite. Nothing is going to lead to action from our governments.
Finns det inget som biter? Det finns ingenting som leder till handling.
Even though under international law, they have a legal obligation to act to prevent and stop genocide.
Rättslig skyldighet att agera för att förhindra och stoppa folkmord. Det som hände var inte bara att Israel kidnappade oss och torterade oss.
What happened was not only that Israel kidnapped us and tortured us, but that above all, during an ongoing escalating genocide, in which Israel is openly trying to erase the entire Gaza Strip and the Palestinian people.
Och det palestinska folket, den palestinska nationen.
The Palestinian nation. Israel once again violated international law and prevented humanitarian aid, medicine, food, and water from reaching a starving population.
Från att komma in till en svältande befolkning.
But this has been said thousands of times already, and as I said, it doesn't bite.
Och som sagt, det biter inte.
You have failed to act. How dare you? I'm sorry. I find it hard to take Greta seriously. But the cause is very, very serious, of course, and we've had some other updates on this front, which may or may not pop up a little bit later on in the show. But taken to an Israeli torture prison.
Where do we start?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I suggested when I first read this story that perhaps the Israelis should be wearing body cams when you're doing all this kind of stuff. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that whoever the arresting officers were treated Greta and her crew rather roughly. Were they torturing them as well? It's a sad state of affairs where you really don't know how to respond to that. Because I'd love to be able to just take that at face value. But the whole thing, and this is not unique to the flotilla side either, the whole thing is so cynical. The Israeli side of like, no, we have never done anything wrong in the history of Gaza and all this kind of stuff. So, well, that's not entirely true, is it? But then at the same time, yes, they took us and they murdered us all and we're all dead right now. And these are our ghosts at a press conference. That's a struggle to get your head around as well. So, I don't know, man.
Hey, look, quite a few people have jumped on board in the live stream. If you would like to join, rema.co.nz, click on either the Facebook or YouTube links. You can leave a comment below if you've got thoughts about this as well. Charmaine says, I want people to acknowledge God's wonderful help and work and the supernatural help and peace talk for the peace talks.
Yeah.
And for his beloved Israel, she says, I think she exaggerates.
I mean, maybe. Look, it's very hard. It's very hard to know how to address this kind of stuff because I feel like the disinformation factory does work over time. I mean, a lot of people taking issue with whether or not it's a literal genocide or not. Some take it as a default position. Of course it is. Others saying, well, it is a war and wars are tragic, but is it a genocide or not? Goodness me. And yet at all of this too, genocide was not the thing that was trending. Palestine was not trending. Gaza was not trending. It was all Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, number 23 trending over the week that was Greta Thunberg.
So what do we say about this? I don't know. Like, to use your platform to draw attention to something, I think if that is something you got the ability to do, then well played to you. But Greta's one of those people that, because she is so polarizing, I think she's great at mobilizing her own side. But if you do believe that victory is achieved by bringing other people on board, and she said herself, you know, we've talked about this stuff for a long time and nobody does anything about it. I don't know. Are you really achieving your aims if you were just a rock star within your own community?
Well, that also communicates to the point that, as you say, it wasn't Israel or Palestine that was trending.
Yeah.
It was Greta Thunberg herself. Do you believe that maybe that was people who align themselves with Greta, or maybe the reverse?
Yeah.
Just want to hear, what does she say this time? Is that
Weird eye roll.
why
Yeah.
the pinpoint, that the prick of
Yeah.
the pin is not the bigger issue, it's Greta herself.
Culture of celebrity, man. What are you going to do?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Moving now to number 20 and staying within New Zealand for this, and a fascinating story just to see what it is as a case study of how news is covered in this country. But number 20, a rather unusual term to find this high in the search list because, well, plane hit by lightning, Josh?
It's very specific, isn't it?
Yeah, plane hit by lightning. I suppose it's just dramatic. We talked about this kind of thing before, the appeal of like a human interest story. So planes being hit by lightning. What's novel about this, though, is the escalating drama, shall we say, as to how New Zealand news services covered this. So if you are with us on the live stream right now, I brought up the article on onenews.co.nz, and theirs is a very matter-of-fact coverage, especially once you ignore the renovate your bathroom ad that for some reason they've decided we need to know all about. It simply says, flight cancelled after Air New Zealand plane is struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Very matter-of-fact.
One News is typically, as we've encountered,
Yeah.
fairly matter-of-fact when it comes to their news coverage.
I think so. Compared to, well, some other platforms that we are going to look at today, they've just said that, yes, a flight was cancelled after an aircraft was struck by lightning during an earlier flight. This morning was struck, Auckland to Dunedin, blah, 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 blah. But it's very dry. Very dry. I mean, the most exciting thing is the headline, right? Well, the New Zealand Herald have decided to correct this error. You're certainly missing some of the finer details. And so the same story covered on the New Zealand Herald that we're now taking a look at. Rather different headline, Josh.
Passengers describe deafening bang as Air New Zealand plane hit by lightning.
So we've got the hit by lightning. It's still there, but now we have a deafening bang. Wow. And even a passenger interview who says their ears are still ringing, which is not true. I mean, come on. You're playing that up. After the plane he was traveling on was struck by lightning, sending a deafening, that's the word in quotes, by the way. The word deafening is in quotes. Can you not just say deafening? Like it's a, air quotes, deafening bang.
I suppose you're quoting the individual who said that they were now deaf, but of course they heard the question you asked them.
Yeah, but they didn't say bang. Bang is not quoted. Just deafening is quoted.
Oh, strange.
What does that mean?
don't
It's a
know.
deafening. There was a deafening, and the guy's like, oh, well, we'll need to expand on that in the article. So the deafening is in quotes, but bang is not. This is the
Or is it
pedantry.
a deafening?
Yeah, well, this is
Is
right.
that what it is? A deafening bang.
You kind of need to see the air quotes we're doing while we say this,
Oh, no,
by the
you
way.
don't need to see it. You get it. Deafening.
You can hear it in my voice. Deafening bang. Crashing through the cabin. And we're banging and crashing as well now? Goodness me. Causing a fireball, also in quotes, by the way, to flash off a wing. Well, same story, by the way. But that's how the Herald decided to cover it. The ODT, though, takes the cake on this bad boy. Because
Which is a little surprising, I would say, because the ODT, one of the most trusted news sources in the country.
But look, they got to get their clicks, mate. There comes a point. There comes a point where even they say deafening bang, not enough. Hit by lightning, not enough. And so for the ODT, covering this very same story, they start with large orange fireball, in quotes. Dunedin flight hit by lightning. Large orange fireball. Woo! Now we're talking. Now, they've got a more complete quote as well. Passengers on an Auckland flight destined for Dunedin witnessed a direct quote, large orange fireball erupt on the plane's wing after it was struck by lightning.
Sure, they did.
Yeah. It's in quotes, Josh. It says the whole thing's in quotes now. Large, orange, and fireball, all in quotes. So you know what happened.
Well, okay.
But then they crank up the drama a little bit further. A tradie by the name of Quincy said that the plane was shaking violently after a deafening, this is the best part, a deafening bang. So they haven't quoted deafening. Deafening is not in the quotes, but bang is in the quotes.
I don't. Okay. Yep.
Like, what's going on?
What do we
here?
do with this?
What does this mean? What does this mean for New Zealand? What does this mean for the state of our nation, ladies and gentlemen?
Probably nothing.
Yep. Everyone was bleep scared. You can guess what that word was supposed to be. Everyone was off their seat. There were people yelling and screaming. It was crazy.
I mean, I bet it was. I imagine if I was on a plane and it got struck by lightning, I would panic too. But a fireball?
A large orange fireball, Josh. I'm pointing at it again. large orange fireball. Which
I just don't know.
So if anyone's ever wanting to do a case study into how perception is shaped by media coverage, this is probably one of the best examples I've found in a while. We've gone from a matter-of-fact lightning strike, happens all the time, who cares, to large orange fireballs.
Does it happen all the
violent
time?
shaking. The flight also felt treacherous, by the way.
Treacherous, even before the lightning.
Exactly. One thing I think we can all agree on, though, large orange fireball, great nickname for Donald Trump.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Another name, though, in our headlines this week, somebody that was searched for. People had their heart in their mouths. They were concerned because, as we've discussed, we had a bit of a patch of time where every name that turned up in the search headlines was because that person was, shuffled off their mortal coil, shall we say.
Yeah, let's be honest. If you're a viewer or listener of Trending and you hear somebody that you love, a celebrity that you're fond of, pop up during the show, you probably have your heart in your mouth. You're probably going, oh, no. No. Because what it means is, sadly, they are trending because they passed away.
Or not.
Or not.
As the case may be. And, there's somebody who has to take a bit of responsibility here, but we've dragged this out for long enough. The name that was number 18 in your Google searches this week was Dolly Parton.
Still alive, by the way.
Still alive. So apparently her sister had posted something asking the public to pray for her, that maybe suggested she was a little unwell, or dare we say drastically unwell. So Dolly decided to address these concerns head on. And so this is what she had to say to allay the fears of her fans.
I wanted to say, I know lately everybody thinks that I am sicker than I am. Do I look sick to you? I'm working hard here. Anyway, I wanted to put everybody's mind at ease, those of you that seem to be real concerned, which I appreciate. And I appreciate your prayers because I'm a person of faith. I can always use the prayers for anything and everything. The doctor said, we need to take care of this. We need to take care of that. Nothing major, but I did have to cancel some things so I could be closer to home, closer to Vanderbilt, where I'm kind of having a few treatments here and there. But I wanted you to know that I'm not dying. There's just a lot of rumors flying around. But I figured if you heard it from me, you'd know that I was okay. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to say. And I'm not ready to die yet. I don't think God is through with me, and I ain't done working.
So there you have it. Dolly Parton, she's not dead.
Or is that AI?
Well, she is in front of a green screen in the video.
It is a little bit strange.
It is a little bit. Like, I don't know, they're trying to be candid with it, but at the same time, rather immaculately made up for a candid video.
That is Dolly Parton, though.
Yeah, good point. Does anyone know what Dolly looks like without makeup? Does anyone have any reference? Does she even remember?
Somebody must know.
Yeah.
By the way, if you'd like to see that video, you got to be a part of the viewing experience of Trending. This is a live stream show, not just live on air, but also you can check it out by heading to rima.co.nz, clicking either the Facebook or YouTube link, and joining us visually if you'd like to see what's going on. And of course, also leave a comment below or text on through 8168 keyword REMA.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
And now, man, it's a show full of big names today. Another person who is not dead, by the way.
This one would be more surprising and I think it would be number one trending.
Yep.
If this person had passed away.
That is true.
This, without a shadow of a doubt. You can't imagine.
I don't like the dark places my mind is going with that line of thought. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna self-censor today.
Good.
In
Well
a rare occasion of self-control. Number 15 though, which is is that a bit disappointing perhaps for how low they are ranking this week? Taylor Swift coming in there at number 15 because of course she has a new album out. Woohoo. That's about right. To be honest, there are some conflicting views on this. In fact, can you do me a favor very quickly? I know we're doing this live and, it might put a bit of a spanner in the works. I talked to producer Tabs, about maybe joining us to share some thoughts on this one. Do you want to have a look if she's out in the hallway?
I can do that.
All right, because, yes, Taylor Swift has a new album out and it's called The Life of a Showgirl. Now, Taylor Swift came in at number 15, but then the album itself coming through at number 17. Very, very middling performance, shall we say, for a Taylor Swift album. And then the broader question starts to become, how does the rest of the world feel about said album? I mean, no doubt if you have children of a certain age, and particularly daughters of a certain age, then they'll be all up in that. You'll be playing it in the car nonstop, and, the diagnoses, shall we say, of the quality of said album is ongoing. Have we managed to find our resident Taylor Swift expert? We have. Tabitha Huxford.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. Thanks for providing a little bit of Swiftie context for us today.
No problem at all.
I thought I'd read this to you because you'll appreciate the dichotomy of man captured in these articles. Rolling Stone magazine have a headline that says, Taylor Swift conquers her biggest stage ever on The Life of a Showgirl, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 rating for this album.
Interesting.
And then in New Zealand for the spin-off, two Swifties try to figure out why Taylor Swift's new album kind of sucks.
Yes, I have a few friends that don't like this album actually, who are big Taylor Swift fans, have had like Taylor Swift birthday parties, have had eras-themed listening parties, and they're not a huge fan of this album. But some people have messaged me saying they really like it, so it's a bit mixed.
So what's going on? Like, why are people feeling that this one is not maybe classic Tay-Tay?
Well, I think we have recently been reminded of how Taylor Swift fans fell in love with Taylor Swift. She's done several re-recordings of her classic albums that everyone loved. They've been reminded of who she used to be for quite a few years now. She's had the Eras Tour where we've been able to relive our favorite parts of Taylor Swift. And then, we got used to, during COVID, the Folklore Evermore sort of style of album, which was a lot slower, very particular, unique lyrics and very thoughtful. And this one is just a pop album, which it's just a pop album. And it's probably not her best pop album. Her best pop album is probably 1989.
1989, I was going to say, obviously, 1989. Right, okay.
And so it's just, we've been used to, everything getting better and better and better, and this is just not better for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, at the risk of falling on an artistic trope, on her personal front, things have never been better for her there now. So is it like inverse relationship with how well things go in Taylor's life has an inverse relationship on how good her albums are?
I don't personally think so. During COVID, she was in quite a long-term relationship where she said she was quite happy. She's a celebrity. I have no idea whether that was true.
Happiness on a celebrity scale, so whatever that looks like.
Yeah, but she was in a relationship for 7 years, and she made 2 amazing albums that were nothing to do with her relationship. It was just storytelling.
So it's Travis's fault. I get it. So it's she's with the wrong man, and maybe all this football and stuff. The ring's weighing her down, right?
I mean, look, as a listener of some of Taylor Swift's songs, I was surprised at how quickly this album came out. I thought she would take a bit more of a break to live life. She's been touring. She hasn't really, she's gotten engaged, and sure, many things have happened, but far out, she's just churning out the content. And if I was her, which I'm definitely not, and in no way am as talented and able to write songs.
That's funny you say that, because I generally think of the two of you in the same category, like Tab Huxford.
Sometimes I get confused.
Yeah, is this a Tabitha Huxford album? Is it Taylor Swift? It happens all the time.
If I was her, I would live a little bit more life before writing another album, but she is an artist. She likes to get music out there, so each to their own.
She's pretty prolific.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just not loved by everyone, and that's okay.
Well, but is it loved by you, Tabs, as our official, Taylor Swift reviewer in the building? Well, but probably between you and Eloise, really. But I didn't want to get her in this early. What would you give it as a 5-star? Is it 5? Is it 3? Is it 1?
I'd give it a 3. It's not my favorite. The first song's really, really catchy. I don't hate it. Am I saving every song on the album? No.
No.
But I don't always save every song on every album anyway. So.
Lazy 3 out of 5 for Diary of a Showgirl. Life of a Showgirl. Diary of a Showgirl, something else, isn't it?
I don't know. Why are you looking at me?
You're my
Life of a Showgirl is great.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
All right, let's continue our march through the headlines today. Taylor Swift relegated to the mid-tier. Oh, how embarrassing. Somebody who probably wishes she wasn't in the search terms, though, is Aotearoa O'Connor.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. We're in uncharted territory for me. What is going on here?
Well, we're about to unpack the story, but for those of you who are already familiar with Aotearoa O'Connor, my question to you is, should she have lost her job? So, with that said, Aotearoa O'Connor is an actress and also, I guess you could say, political activist, but I think that and being an actor are a little bit hand in hand. Like, if you're not political, are you really an actor anymore?
Okay, we don't have time to delve. That's a bucket of worms,
Well,
not a can of worms.
she a vessel of worms of some sort. She was protesting outside Winston Peters' house, and in one of the videos that she put up, gave out Winston Peters' home address. So as a result of that, Vodafone have decided that they don't want to be associated with her, more because there was also some follow-up activity which you may well be familiar with, where a crowbar was put through the window of Winston Peters' house and a note was left saying, "Welcome to the real world." And at this point too, got to say hats off to stuff.co.nz, because they provided a pretty cool article outlining what happened there. So we're going to take a wee look at this one now. First up from their coverage, windows smashed as Winston Peters' home is targeted by protesters. Let's get a bit of background as to why Aotearoa O'Connor was the number 14 ranked search term in the country in the last week.
No mai, haere mai. Welcome to 3 News. Winston Peters delivered a fiery speech in Parliament this afternoon, calling out what he described as the violent targeting of politicians' private homes by some protesters. The Foreign Minister's Auckland property was vandalised last night with a note left on his doorstep saying, "Welcome to the real world." It came just days after pro-Palestine demonstrators gathered outside his home, where one woman, identified as Aotearoa O'Connor, shared his address on social media. Today, she was dropped from a high-profile 1NZ advertising campaign. Political correspondent Zane Small reports.
It was just before 6 last night when police responded to reports that a window had been smashed during a protest at a property in Auckland. It was the home of Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters, who addressed it in a speech to Parliament this afternoon.
The violent targeting of politicians' private homes by some protesters, however, is a disgrace.
A 29-year-old man has been arrested and charged with burglary.
To the best of our knowledge, he climbed over the balustrade and then put a notice on the door and then put a crowbar through the window.
What did the notice say?
Welcome to the real world.
Demonstrators first gathered outside Winston Peters' home last Thursday.
Join us. This is a peaceful action. There's a good bunch of us here.
Winston Peters, you're a disgrace to this country.
The protesters called on the government to take stronger action against Israel after it intercepted dozens of boats bound for Gaza, carrying aid and pro-Palestine activists from around the world, including 3 New Zealanders.
Come on down if you know where we are.
The woman in the video shared the address of Winston Peters' home, and just a few days later she stood alongside Green Party co-leader Chloe Swarbrick at a press conference about the Kiwis detained in Israel. Who do you hold responsible for what happened?
Well, for those that encourage that sort of behaviour. And one was standing right next to Chloe Swarbrick yesterday.
The woman standing next to Chloe Swarbrick has since been identified as actor Aotearoa O'Connor, who has appeared in ads for 1NZ.
It's your mum. I'm sure that 1NZ will want to take another look at that.
Today, the telco told us we don't back any behaviour that puts people's safety at risk. What's happened doesn't line up with our values, so we're taking the character out of our marketing. Are you aware that 1NZ is going to drop her from their marketing material?
Yes, I am.
That's the right thing to do?
Yes, I do.
All politicians are engaged with all manners of New Zealanders from all walks of life, and we cannot know absolutely everything about everybody who we stand next to.
The Greens pointing the blame back at Winston Peters.
If he wants to make comment about the tensions, all he needs to do is look in the mirror.
Winston Peters hasn't always been so at odds with protesters. He showed solidarity with them during the occupation of Parliament's grounds in 2022.
Now look, I'm not being interviewed by your space here.
The vandalism at his home last night has reignited conversation among politicians about a law change the government proposed in August that would introduce a new offence for engaging in disruptive demonstrations outside private homes.
Legislation's coming back out of Select Committee very shortly, and then we'll look forward to push it through from there. And again, it's not ideological. It's just saying, look, yep, as ministers and MPs, we signed up for public life, and we, honestly, people are free to protest, and they should protest where we are and all that good stuff. But our neighbours didn't, and our families didn't.
Labor voted against it.
Free speech matters, and getting the detail of the law changes right is important. politicians shouldn't receive preferential treatment.
I expect a tough rap. We have a lot of power in this building and people should hold us accountable, but not by taking on their house.
The targeting of Winston Peters' house was an attempt to bring attention to the 3 New Zealanders detained by Israel. But there was some uncertainty today about whether the government will foot the bill to bring them home.
Mr. Peters, do you think we should not spend taxpayer money to bring home the New Zealanders? Is that true?
He later confirmed the government will bail them out.
So that's the story that got Aotearoa O'Connor to the number 14 point in our Google search terms over the last week. A lot to unpack with all this, and the law of unintended consequences coming into play as well.
Get in touch. What do you think about this story? Should she have lost her job or not? You are able to weigh in by texting 8168 with the keyword Rema, or if you are watching the stream right now, leave a comment below. To find the stream, rema.co.nz, click on either the Facebook or YouTube links. And of course, there's more comments to be made. If you've got any thoughts around this story, we're interested to hear from you.
Yeah, gosh, should she have lost her job? I mean, this is why I talk about the law of unintended consequences, because with free speech arguments, I do find people love a straw man, i.e. they try and make the silliest reductive argument around free speech. And one of them being, well, free speech activists say you should be able to say anything at any time, which is not what free speech is about. There's always been restrictions around it. One of those things being, of course, incitement of violence. Now, if you give out somebody's home address and encourage people to come and protest there, this is, I suppose, where you get a murky line, because you haven't necessarily said, hey, let's come and visit violence upon their residence. But if you're encouraging this kind of thing, and in a broader context where the rhetoric around this government and their treatment of Gaza from those who oppose them in Parliament has often been quite strong, quite strident, is it implied?
Is it overstepping a boundary that is almost unspoken, and now we're talking about literal laws, whether or not that should be put in place or not, to the sphere that exists outside of Parliament, outside of this is the point where they are a politician. I mean, they are always a politician, but when they are at home, should their home life not... I mean, I think we would want the same courtesy in any aspect where we have stepped out of what is that realm, our job, and we are at home, and that should be a place of sanctuary and silo, somewhere that should be free from any sort of attack, protest, violence particularly.
I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of okay with it in terms of passing a law so that you can't protest in front of people's private homes. Especially when there is the potential for escalation with these sorts of demonstrations. Maybe it's really a commentary on who we are as a culture right now, that if it was simply just a protest, maybe you can make an argument for it, but it does seem like, as you kind of heard, and this is not just a, wow, aren't these pro-Palestine people behaving badly? We are all prone to excuse the behavior of our side because of what the other people have done. Though there was a comment that was captured in there about, oh, well, if Winston thinks this is so bad, he should take a look at himself. And in other words, this is not our fault, this is your fault. Of course we had to behave like this because of what you've done. This is human nature 101. This is not a left/right thing, even though in this particular instance, Winston highlighted the what he calls the far left and how they are now more prone to violence. There is also discussions about how we then label our opponents and the need to respond in these ways. I mean, if you genuinely believe that your opponents are advocating for genocide, then what's off the table? It's the same way that after, say, the Charlie Kirk shooting, and we talked about the use of the word fascist. If you genuinely believe that there were fascists in your street, you would be morally obliged to resist them, to fight them with everything you've got. But there's a difference between labeling somebody a fascist and, whether or not they really are, which sounds like the most facile observation in the world to make. But it's what we do. We say, well, this person's a Nazi. So, well, if it was if it was real Nazis, and by the way, I've heard this is a left and right thing, by the way. Everyone wants to call everybody a Nazi. Godwin's Law, look it up. Then, of course, you have to resist with everything within you. But these are not Nazis. These are people that we might strongly disagree with. And you do encourage violent action when you start to label people with these incredibly incendiary terms.
Do you know what it weirdly comes back to for me?
What's that?
The plane struck by lightning.
Ooh, okay.
and the escalation of language used by the different news outlets and the headlines to invoke a reaction, to pull in viewership or a click or whatever it is. There is a crossover there of using inflammatory language, using this language in order to garner a response. The belief being that to motivate a group, you have to use this incendiary language in order to fire them up, which it does work. And of course, though, when we are motivated by anger and hate, the only thing that will continue to motivate us is anger and hate. And from a Christian perspective, the idea is to win them with love and not to win them with anger. We could say, oh, you could be fearful of hell. You know, you don't want to go there. So that is the thing that we imbue into the soul in order to keep somebody in our corner. But otherwise, the actual calling from Jesus is not to lead with hate, not to lead with anger, but to lead with love. And it shows in political aspects. It shows even in our reporting. It shows in every minute detail of our lives.
Very wise, mate. You're absolutely right. Couldn't agree more. Let's answer our own question then. Should she have lost her job? Should Acacia O'Connor, the number 14 search term in the country, should she have lost her job?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Sorry, but if you are going to be giving out those kind of details, and I think, to be honest, the explanation from One New Zealand summed it up pretty well, that by doing that, she was encouraging a situation where violence could take place, and it did. You're responsible there, so them's be the consequences.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Which is funny because often people who like to push back about free speech say, well, it's freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences. Like, well, there you go. Exactly. How do you like them apples? Let's move to an overseas story now. Number 1 trending on The Guardian, and notable too because this is missing in action in New Zealand. I have not found any variations on this story. The most popular on The Guardian website in the UK, Trump says he will be involved in keeping peace in Gaza.
Yeah, interesting to see. Well, interesting to ask this question, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe to you listening and to anybody watching the live stream as well. Why do you think this wasn't trending higher? Why do you think people weren't going to Google or wanting to know more information about this? This story has been obviously the center of news media for months and months and years, let's be honest, right?
Oh, and people also scratching their heads to say, why is it that so many of the people who were saying there's a genocide in Gaza, as, again, motivated Acacia O'Connor and her behavior and Greta Thunberg, said, okay, well, now you've got a peace plan. Crickets. Was it really about genocide in Gaza? Dare I say it?
Ooh, look, you're welcome to weigh in on this conversation. Text 8168 with the keyword REMA or leave a comment below.
I'm looking through the search terms just to be super sure, and I can't see anything about peace plan, about Gaza in the top 50. So it's just not rated a mention. So for those of you who, of course, wanted to know more information about this, let's take a look then at the story on The Guardian. And it says Trump says he'll be involved in keeping peace in Gaza as it happened. Let's see how Aotearoa covered this story. Trump says Israel, Hamas agree on first phase of the Gaza peace plan.
All right, let's just bring you some breaking news here that mediators say the Gaza ceasefire deal has been approved by both sides. This is a post that US President Donald Trump has just posted on his Truth social media platform, that a Gaza ceasefire deal has been agreed. So breaking news here on Al Jazeera that the deal has been agreed. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Alan, so we're all waiting on tenterhooks for news of this, and news that Trump has now posted on his Truth social media saying we have a deal. What are you seeing and hearing there at the White House?
This has been building particularly over the last couple of hours when Donald Trump in a meeting at the White House said he just stepped away from a call with his team that were in Egypt in Sharm el-Sheikh, and he was encouraged by the progress that had been made and thought there would be an announcement soon. Talked about heading to the Middle East at the weekend. That may now be brought forward. It appears that the outline of a deal has been done. Donald Trump on his Truth social platform has, just in the last couple of minutes, said, I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations and the United States of America. And we want to thank mediators from Qatar, Egypt and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers.
Remarkable shift in the Middle East in a war that had been dragged on, that was causing incredible destruction, loss of life, impoverishment. Donald Trump has done it again.
Do you think maybe part of the reason that it's not trending is because there's a disbelief that this has happened?
Look, Donald Trump is a very polarizing chap.
Yes.
And I think it's very, very difficult for some people to give Donald Trump his props. And they've done it. They've done it. I don't know how you don't celebrate that. Well, I do know how, because you don't like Donald Trump. And then, of course, some have immediately started to look into the deal and say, oh, well, this doesn't change anything. And actually, Hamas should reject it which is just silly and shows you how partisan and ridiculous these arguments can get. But when Donald Trump pulls off a move like this, or rather his team does, to say, well done, Donald. I saw, by the way, to his credit, even people like Barack Obama tweeting about how this is great progress and we need to acknowledge the fact that when progress has been made, it should be celebrated. And, death by 1,000 caveats after that fact as well. But if people are able to look at those across the aisle and recognize the significance of this, especially when it looked intractable, then well done. And I would say again, well done, Donald Trump. Does he deserve a Nobel Peace Prize, Josh?
No.
No?
No.
I reckon he does.
Yeah, you reckon?
Why not? Why not? Intractable conflict.
I think I want to see the evidence of it working.
Well, sure, yeah, fair enough.
Before we get that far.
Yeah. And people, of course, questioning that. I found, though, something that I thought was fascinating, and this is courtesy of ye old Twitter, or X as it's now called. Now, this was a post by Ahmed Fouad Al-Khatib. Nailed that one. But an interesting analysis of why Hamas agreed to this. And so, look, I put the tweet up onto our live stream. But for those, of course, who can't read along with us, I'll read it for you. What caused Hamas to agree to give up its chief bargaining chip, the Israeli hostages, for phase one of a deal was the unprecedented pressure against the terror group from Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt. Now, listen to this. Out of the deal, dare I say it. The Turks want sanctions relief, the F-35 stealth fighter, new F-16s, and greater cooperation with the US. The Qataris got the apology from Israel for the airstrike and the US commitment to Doha's national security through a new agreement or pact. And in exchange, had to deliver the hostages, which means delivering Hamas. Because, of course, Hamas and a lot of their funding comes courtesy of Qatari agents doing their thing. That's a whole other web you don't want to dive into. Then lastly, Egypt has been terrified of the specter of forced displacement of Gazans into Sinai. Its mobilization of the Egyptian army on the country's eastern border raised tensions with Israel and threatened the peace treaty between the two countries, not to mention US foreign aid. Cumulatively, this meant that the three countries, Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt, applied enormous pressure on Hamas, which is isolated, militarily weakened, and its allies have been defeated and without options. That is some 4D chess. That is some pretty impressive stuff. So the long story short on that is that US worked through Hamas's allies, for want of a better term, and got them to be the ones to apply the pressure on Hamas, as opposed to just saying to Hamas, you have to do what we tell you.
Which has worked so well in the past, actually. It hasn't, and here we are now with a different strategy actually working. Yeah, I mean, fascinating. I'm a little bit flabbergasted.
It's remarkable, isn't it? It is remarkable. So, I mean, again, I think people struggle to give Donald Trump credit where due sometimes, but in this particular case, and yes, disclaimers about how long this will last and so on. The only additional note I'll add to this, and it's suggested here, by the way, in the message that I just read out, was that I feel like, from one man's position on the opposite side of the world, what this situation has always needed is the involvement of the wider Arab and Muslim community. Because if it's just Israel versus Palestine, it's not going to work out. And somebody needs to basically police what happens within Gaza to make sure that Hamas don't fill a power vacuum and you end up in the same situation. I mean, Israel can't provide peacekeepers. That's not going to work. If the UN provides them, they're also seen as outsiders, whereas at least if it is Arab or other Muslim countries providing those peacekeepers themselves and getting involved in the process. I mean, I don't know if it'll last forever. Donald Trump fairly optimistic about it being an everlasting peace, but once again, well done. Well done to his team. People, by the way, also signaling out Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, apparently being very active and a key factor in this coming together, but not a story that was trending in New Zealand at all. The number one story, however, on The Guardian newspaper in the UK.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
And just before we get to, I believe, our final story of trending, I got this text through from Kevin. Says, first of all, thank you for tackling these sorts of issues. As regard to the woman who lost her acting job for protesting outside Winston Peters' home, Aotearoa O'Connor. Acacia, thank you.
Yep.
She made her own bed. Now she has to sleep in it. Too bad for her that she is acting on false news narratives about Israel.
Well, and that's a whole other question then, isn't it? You can also have your own take on things that may be incorrect. I think the challenge really is that when that leads to violence at a person's home, you're kind of stuffed.
It's regardless.
Yeah. If I would put it this way too, if nothing had happened at Winston Peters' house, probably no consequences for her. Right? Probably no consequences at all. But because, of course, there was a protest and then tempers flared even further. By the way, what does welcome to the real world even mean when it comes to putting a crowbar through somebody's window?
Nothing.
Doesn't mean anything, does it? It's just someone being a
person.
Correct.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Okay, let's look at our number one story. Did we get any guesses, by the way, that we're on the right track with this?
Unsurprisingly, no, because we did say how difficult it might be to guess this one, and I believe people probably didn't want to get it wrong. This one a little bit surprising. Number one trending over the week that was.
Well, you see, but I have a strong connection with this, Josh, so I'm not surprised at all.
Hey, I do a little bit too.
That's
I'm
true.
really enjoying going along to these events over the last couple of years.
And this is number one by quite a distance too, by the way. The number two story in the country, 50,000 searches. This one, though, more than 100,000, and only in the last 4 days. Ladies and gentlemen, your number one news story for this week, Mid-Autumn Festival.
Does this speak to the large Asian Chinese population we have here in New Zealand?
I think so. And I think they've done an amazing job making this kind of stuff accessible for the rest of New Zealand. I mean, I remember when they used to have like the lantern festivals and things like that in different parts of Auckland City, and I know they pop up in other major metropolitan areas around New Zealand. It makes an event accessible for everybody. You can take part. You don't have to know all about it. Dare I say, there's a great lesson here for even the Christian community, or at the risk of really getting myself into trouble, say for Māori New Zealanders looking to increase the participation in Te Ao Māori in this country, because you didn't really need to know anything about the Mid-Autumn Festival to go along to one of these things.
Oh, no.
Try the food, look at some of the performances, and have a good time.
Decorations, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
My wife and I, over the last couple of years, just simply because it's been down the road from us, we live in the Mount Roskill area, Dominion Road, does a massive thing. It's just around the corner. Why not? A free event. Go along, have some food. As you said, see the performances, just soak in the atmosphere, spend some time together. It's beautiful and free.
And free. So, cost of living crisis, right? Who doesn't want a free thing? In case you've ever wondered, though, I have found a little explainer for you for the Mid-Autumn Festival to provide a bit of context behind it and let you understand how Chinese people have celebrated this around the world. So here's your explainer video for what was the number one news story by a long way over the last week, the Mid-Autumn Festival.
As the legend goes, in the distant past, there was a beautiful woman called Chang'e. Her husband Hou-Yi was a brilliant archer. At that time, there were 10 suns in the sky, and the people on Earth were living in the blistering heat. To save the Earth, Hou-Yi used his bow and arrow to shoot down 9 of the suns. Hou-Yi was respected as the national hero and received an elixir of immortality as a reward for saving the people from the heat of multiple suns. However, the elixir only had enough for one person, and both Chang'e and Hou-Yi didn't want to leave each other. But one day, one of Hou-Yi's students tried to steal the elixir when he wasn't home. In order to protect the elixir from thieves,
How dramatic.
Chang'e took the magic elixir of immortality.
I think we could see that coming.
Yeah.
Then she flew to the moon and became the moon goddess, leaving her husband behind.
Wait a second. I don't want to leave my husband by taking the immortality elixir. You could have just stuck around. I mean, it's like, well, sorry, got to go live on the moon. Anyway.
Alone on Earth, Ho'i missed his wife so much that he made an offering to the moon and tried to find the shape of Chang'e on the moon. To remember Chang'e, Chinese people worship the moon by eating fruit and moon-shaped desserts called mooncakes. This is the legend of the origin of the Mid-Autumn Festival, which is also called the Moon Festival.
So there you have it. That is the origins, the myth behind the Mid-Autumn Festival. And of course, even for those who don't follow the traditional beliefs behind this festival, it's also, again, an opportunity to get together with family and to celebrate. Well, it looks like 100,000 plus people in New Zealand wanted to know more about this in the last week.
Yeah, heading along to the Moon Festival, potentially. It is, I think, time to wrap on up, Andrew, but just quickly before we do, Hamish also got in touch. It seems the conversation around Winston Peters is the one that's garnered the most attention. In TV and movies, this is what Hamish says, ad industries as well, we have to sign a contract, an NDA, stating something like, I will not disclose anything about the product or anything to bring the product into disrepute.
There you go. So looks like it was in the contract the whole time. You might agree, you might disagree, but that is what trending is all about. Thank you for joining us today as we've taken a look at the trending news stories from the week that was. We'll be back again on Monday on Friday, next Friday.
I mean, we'll be back on Monday, just we won't be here for trending.
Yeah. The long story short is, thanks for being part of the show today. Been a pleasure. We'll see you again next week. Okay, post-show time. Post-show time. Yeah, man, Winston Peters. Maybe we should have talked about that earlier. Goodness me.
Yeah, a lot of... So what do you think? Any more thoughts on what Hamish said? I mean, there was no news about whether or not an NDA or a contract was breached.
Oh, I think the NDA is like supplementary information, but certainly about not bringing a brand into disrepute.
Fairly standard.
I think what kind of shocked me, and I didn't really realize until I saw some of the video behind this too, was the proximity of protesters to Winston's house. The house itself has a very low fence that's actually not too far from the outside walls of the house. So if you're trying to get a picture in your mind, if you haven't seen, of what Winston's house looks like, you're not very far separated from it. If you're on the footpath, you are, within maybe 2 meters of his house?
You know what you should do, Andrew? If you give his address, we can all bring it up on Google.
Great point. Exactly.
We can all go to Google and look at it. You know, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. Thanks for that. But you will be very close, right? So this is the thing. Like it's very like in your face. Because I remember, I think there were protests in front of John Key's house back in the past as well, and his place, had a nice big fence up, and you were back from the road. So I don't know, maybe you feel like you got a bit of distance from it. There is, by the way, a massive element of hypocrisy about this whole story too, because, I mean, let's be honest, if this was Jacinda Ardern's house, people would be baying for blood. You'd be stringing that person up in the street. The same people who are like, hey, look, it's just free speech. And this is why people, by the way, hate politics. Because we all know if the boot was on the other foot, they'd be treating it completely differently.
Make politics boring again.
Come on now. So yeah, long story short, to be honest, I don't have a problem with the consequences that have unfolded in this particular context. If it was simply a matter of voicing your opinions, fine. But yeah, you find yourself responsible when this kind of thing happens. So there you have it.
Do you think this one garnered the most response from our listenership, from our viewership? Thank you, by the way, for viewing Trending, for being a part of the post show, and the live stream still going at the moment as we just wrap on up a little bit more relaxed, not on air anymore. But obviously people getting in touch about that story the most, Andrew. Is that because it was just closest to home?
I think so. I think it touches on a lot of stuff too, that the partisan nature of these kind of stories. I mean, it's shocking for a start to have somebody put a crowbar through a window, and that being of a senior member of parliament. Though, I suppose even if it was a backbencher, that would be an issue. And a lot of the emotions that bubbling below the surface too for the wider topic in protest, what's going on in Gaza and what our government's action should be. It was kind of difficult to watch a few of the interviews that were held, particularly with the Green Party, because as you saw in the video, if you watched it with us, Acacia O'Connor appeared next to Chloe Swarbrick at an event that spoke on the flotilla and what was happening to the 3 New Zealanders who were being detained by the Israelis in their torture prison, by the way. That was the words that were used by Greta Thunberg. That's a whole other thing to uncover. We haven't, by the way, had a response from Israel on those allegations either. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were so equivocal about this. And it's, I don't know. It just seems so nakedly political, right? And if you believe that there is a genocide going on in Gaza right now, then all behavior is appropriate. If you're genuinely trying to stop a genocide, then everything is called for. How are you going to get people's attention? I will say, maybe for the parents who are viewing this, you do learn the problem with, dare I say, the boy who cried wolf. Like, if everything is an emergency, then nothing is.
Excuse me.
Josh is very moved by this. If everything's an emergency, then nothing is. You know, this is urgent, this is urgent, this is urgent, this is urgent. The climate thing, if we don't do this, the entire planet's going to be burnt to a crisp in 10 minutes. If we don't do this, then blah, blah. And you can only live in that headspace for so long. It's partly, I think, why it tends to work better on younger people than older people. Because older people have been around long enough to be like, yeah. Oh, it's urgent, it's drastic, we must do something right now, blah, blah. Now, that can work the other way, by the way, where you can be a little bit too laissez-faire about issues that you should be motivated to do something about. So in some ways, if you try to look at society as a whole, it's how we balance each other out, right? You got
it's Mental Health Awareness Week.
Ooh.
And so this brings me to the point that you've talked about actually previous times on Trending. If you care about everything, you can't.
No.
It will just send you into a space of depression and as we see with a lot of young people is because the narrative is just everything is bad. Are we saying that you should not care about these causes, these things, these important issues? Not at all.
Yeah.
But there has to be a level of, I have to let those people take care of that.
Sure.
I'm going to invest in this because if you try to be the hero, if you try to be Superman or Superwoman, you just can't. You're not. You're a human.
Well, look, hypervigilance is a symptom of PTSD.
Ooh.
And that is what we're encouraging people to have. By looking at all these different things that we need to be aware of, and I think we've talked about before, when I did a last count, I'll have to do it again sometime, but there was about 176 awareness days over the course of any given year. You know, environmental awareness, like women in science, children with cancer, prostate cancer, had like 176 of these things. So you only get half the year off. You only get half the year off from all these things that are fighting for your attention all the time. And then it is seen as a source of shame in some sectors of society if you are unaware, if you are, you know, not making space for people with a particular condition, challenge, background, whatever it might be. And you just can't do that. Like you don't have the capacity for it. Now you can have a broader sense of, I want to just be kind to people and love people.
100%, yeah.
And I would suggest a healthier model is learning to have grace in both directions, where I recognize there are people who have challenges in their life that I am not aware of. And that maybe causes me to soften my approach to a lot of different stuff. And then, dare I say it, if you are somebody who's struggling with something that not the rest of the world is aware of, one of the harder things you're going to have to do is just recognize that people will just not be aware. And sometimes you'll need to be gracious with those who don't understand and explain for the 400th time to another person why things might be difficult for you in a circumstance that they don't understand. Whether it's a disability, mental, physical, or something else entirely, you come from a different culture and other people don't understand that as well. That to me is the only way you can really move forward in a healthy way.
Wow. You're asking for grace to be extended both ways.
Yeah. So other than that, looking through these stories, I mean, nice to see that Dolly's still with us, by the way. Yep. The Taylor Swift story. Taylor, I wonder what her future's going to look like. Like, I think
she's going to get married.
Well, sure, but like, she's had a spectacular career.
She has.
I'm not saying by any stretch it's over. You know, artists have albums and like these, you know, rises and falls with how well these things
You don't
do,
think
but,
this
like,
one album that's a little bit meh is the end?
is the end of it all? Nah, she'll keep going for a while. But, you know, certain albums, though, or certain artists will come out with stuff and then it falls off a bit. Do they make a comeback? There's always a comeback. Madonna's had more comebacks than I've had hot dinners. So this is part of a performer's life. But at some point, like, I wouldn't falter if she goes like, nah, stuff this. Like, you know who I think of with that? Rihanna.
Right.
Rihanna was the biggest thing in the world. People are absolutely just tearing their hair out waiting for her to come up with new albums. And she's like, I'm coming out with new children instead. And she's having a great time. Seems to have a great relationship. ASAP Rocky. They've got a great life together. She's doing fashion shoots. She's doing like makeup and all this kind of stuff. Looking awesome. Having a great time. Thumbs up from me. Well played, Rihanna. Who would have thought? She's cracked the game. What a legend.
There you go. I didn't know you're such a Rihanna fan.
You know, music-wise, don't really care. Lifestyle-wise, bravo. Credit where due. Maybe we need to do a segment like that in the show too. We just ask people, you know, who deserves some credit this week. It didn't
Credit
get it.
where credit's due.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I can see, by the way, Di Campbell looming outside the studio. So,
well, as much as Di can loom, let's be honest. All right, we better get out of here. Thanks for joining us for the post-show team. We're going to be back again next Friday. You're always welcome to share your thoughts, even if you drop a comment in the stream video as well. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube for a wee while anyway. Let us know what you think about stuff. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. That was me hitting the mic. Sorry.